A cargo ship sailing across the Indian Ocean is suddenly attacked by a sea monster. Captain Youngblood, rather than panicking, grows excited. He sees a chance to capture the creature and make a fortune, but as he gets closer, he realizes the monster's size is far beyond imagination. By the time Youngblood decides to retreat, it's too late. A deafening crash echoes as the hull is torn open and seawater floods in. The ship begins to collapse. A young woman loses her footing and slips toward the edge. Before she can react, the butler and even a massive cannon tumble after her. Realizing the ship is doomed, Youngblood orders the crew to abandon ship. Watching the wreck sink beneath the waves, he can't help but wonder what kind of creature could pierce a vessel that massive. As the survivors look on in shock, an iron monster rises from the depths. It wasn't a creature at all, it was a submarine. The hatch opens, and a man with a gun steps out. This is Captain Nemo, master of the Nautilus. But don't be fooled, just hours earlier, Nemo was a convict, forced into labor by the East India Company, repairing their ships. Yet today was different. Everyone was excited, because the secret submarine they had been building was finally ready, their one chance to escape. Once unchained and brought to the deck, they wait for the guards to relax. Ship designer Gustav signals Nemo, it's time. The prisoners strike fast, seizing the guards' weapons, locking them in the hold, and rushing to start the massive vessel. But one clumsy crew member misfires, and the gunshot echoes through the base. No one is hurt, but the outside guards are alerted. The fight begins. Desperate for freedom, the prisoners hack away at the ropes anchoring the ship, fighting ferociously despite being outnumbered. One guard manages to grab a weapon, sending the prisoners into panic. Nemo quickly fires back, killing him, but as the crew rushes to cut the final ropes, bullets strike them down. Watching his comrades die, Nemo cries out in anguish, but it's too late. A fallen lantern ignites the ropes, and the submarine bursts free, beginning its legendary journey 20,000 leagues under the sea. Under Gustav's guidance, the crew quickly adapts to their new duties. The submarine descends into the deep, while soldiers onshore fire at it. Their bullets can't even scratch the iron hull. At the helm, Nemo carefully pilots through narrow underwater ravines, relying solely on instinct in the pitch darkness. One mistake could kill them all, but they make it through unharmed. Once they reach open sea, freedom finally feels real, but it comes at a cost. The East India Company won't let them go easily. As oxygen runs low, Nemo surfaces for air, only to be attacked by another ship mistaking them for a whale. Refusing to back down, Nemo rams the enemy ship, destroying it but severely damaging the Nautilus in the process. Still, he doesn't wish for bloodshed. He rescues the women and children, forcing the guards onto lifeboats.
Nemo! I'll see your hunt until the ends of the earth.
You'll be hunting in the wrong place!
With those sharp words, the Nautilus dives once again. Nemo decides to head north, searching for a sunken Spanish treasure to repay Gustav. However, Gustav insists they first dock in France for repairs and supplies. Their food is running dangerously low. Nemo kindly allows 3 women and a dog aboard, but reaching the northern seas won't be easy. One of them, Lucas, overhears their discussion and anxiously asks when Nemo will release her. It turns out Lucas is the fiancé of an Indian prince, now kidnapped by Nemo. She fears she might be thrown into the ocean. As the two were still talking, strange noises echoed outside the submarine. To their astonishment, a pod of sperm whales surrounded them, a breathtaking sight only possible in the deep sea. They rushed to the control room and realized they were over 100 meters below the surface, with the engine completely shut down. If not repaired soon, they'd either suffocate or be crushed by the ocean's pressure. At that moment, Lucas suggested a solution, but Nemo refused to entrust the Nautilus's fate to a woman. As everyone frantically searched for answers, the hull began to groan under the crushing pressure. Nemo finally swallowed his pride.
Fine, what is it? Your idea, please!
The crew quickly pulled a cannon shell from storage and lit the fuse, timing it to detonate based on the fuse length. By calculating the water's density and pressure, they could still trigger an explosion even from tens of meters below. The crew scrambled to repair the damage. Having fled in haste, the Nautilus carried no torpedoes or weapons. All they could do was hide. As they sank over 100 meters, the enemy admiral ordered his men to extend the detonating cable and drop depth charges. Inside the sub, no one dared breathe. One hit, and it would be over. But their 20,000 leagues under the sea had only just begun. It couldn't end like this. The bomb missed its mark, and the crew sighed in relief. Yet before they could celebrate, the sonar picked up strange noises below, something alive, far more terrifying than any bomb. None of them had imagined the deep ocean could be this terrifying. Not long before, when the damaged engine caused the Nautilus to sink even deeper, Nemo had no choice but to ask Lucas for help to build a makeshift manual engine powered by human strength. The crew worked the levers with all their might, but the submarine refused to rise. Their heavy exertion depleted the oxygen fast, dizziness set in, hearts raced, even the dog panted in distress. Lucas, still somewhat clear-headed, realized there had to be a leak somewhere, otherwise things wouldn't be this bad. Amid the chaos, she caught a faint hissing sound, barely audible over the crew's shouts. Without hesitation, she tore a piece from her dress, soaked it in oil, and wrapped it tightly around the leaking pipe. With Nemo's help, the breach was sealed, hope returned, and with their last strength, the crew finally brought the submarine back to the surface. Everyone gasped for air, breathing in the sweet taste of survival. Having come so close to death, they realized how bound together they truly were. Though the Nautilus was still incomplete, returning to shore seemed like the wisest choice. Lucas acted first. Spotting an island nearby, she dove into the sea despite her heavy clothing. 2 Indian sailors followed her. Nemo could only watch helplessly, he couldn't bring himself to shoot. Just then, a squad of soldiers appeared on shore. They'd been informed by the East India Company that the Nautilus carried escaped convicts, and immediately seized fishing boats to pursue them. Realizing the truth, Lucas turned back. She knew the soldiers would never spare them. Just as she expected, even though her fiancé was a nobleman, the East India Company saw her as insignificant. They would never let the Nautilus escape for the sake of one woman. Meanwhile, Nemo faced a new problem. The ship suddenly lost power. He and Gustav searched every corner but found nothing. As frustration mounted, Lucas calmly returned, pulling a metal wire from the circuitry. She had tampered with the engine earlier in her escape attempt. Nemo could only give a helpless smile. He couldn't blame her. The priority now was to escape pursuit. Once everyone was back at their stations, the Nautilus submerged again, leaving the soldiers staring in disbelief as the massive vessel vanished beneath the waves. Though they had escaped danger, morale aboard the Nautilus was fragile. Nemo knew he needed a reason strong enough to keep his crew loyal. Force was never his way. As he pondered what to do, fate handed him an unexpected opportunity. A fishing boat uses a baby whale as bait and manages to trap a massive sperm whale. The crew argues about whether to save it. Nemo initially doesn't want to meddle, but one line from Lucas changes his mind. That's a mother trying to protect her child. At Nemo's command, the Nautilus surfaces. Before the fisherman can react, Nemo leaps onto the deck and jumps straight onto the whale's back. The hunters immediately open fire, but the Nautilus crew works together. The first mate maneuvers the ship closer while the sailors fire back to cover Nemo. Once the ropes are cut, Nemo grabs a metal hook and dives down with the whale. Moments later, he resurfaces safely, and the crew breathes a collective sigh of relief. For the first time, they truly feel the power of unity. Taking the chance, Nemo urges the fishermen to free the baby whale, but since it's their livelihood, he offers to buy it instead. Having recently escaped prison, he's penniless, but Lucas isn't. Without hesitation, Nemo grabs her golden bracelet and tosses it to the fisherman. Lucas agrees to save the whale, but that bracelet was her late father's keepsake. Realizing this later, Nemo regrets it deeply. His good deed doesn't go unpunished. The East India Company soon tracks them down and dispatches the steel warship Dreadnought to hunt them. The submarine is nearly undetectable underwater, but the Dreadnought carries advanced sonar capable of amplifying deep-sea sounds. Nemo knows this well and orders the engines shut down. The crew stays perfectly still, but the dog doesn't. Silence that dog, Captain, I found something. When the Nautilus is detected, the Dreadnought's captain shows a knowing smirk. It seems he recognizes Nemo. Meanwhile, inside the submarine, the dog keeps barking at the hatch. As a sailor goes to calm it, he spots a soldier's boot sticking out from behind the door.
Quiet, or you're dead.
In the 19th century, only the legendary Nautilus could dive as deep as 100 meters, but the deep sea is perilous. A giant octopus suddenly appears, wrapping its tentacles around the hull. Nemo tries to start the engines, but the submarine won't budge. As the tentacles tighten, fear grips the crew. If nothing is done, the glass will soon shatter. As captain, Nemo must protect his crew, and this is his chance to prove himself worthy of command. He doesn't plan to fight the creature directly, just to scare it off. Thankfully, the diving suit holds firm. Nemo steps outside, ready to fire, but the octopus senses danger and flings him away with a powerful strike. Thanks to the sturdy diving suit and the cushioning water pressure, Nemo survives unharmed, but the Nautilus isn't so lucky. The octopus keeps wrapping itself around the hull, treating it like a toy. Nemo grabs a harpoon gun, but the creature spots him first. A tentacle lashes out before he can react. Suddenly, the mother whale, the one Nemo had saved, reappears. She attacks the octopus, biting and pulling it away. The two titans clash violently, and Nemo witnesses firsthand just how small humanity truly is. At last, the mother whale triumphs, tearing off the octopus's tentacle before swimming away. The crew exhales in relief, and Nemo understands one thing: in the deep sea, befriending whales is the key to survival. When Nemo returns, he's greeted with cheers, but danger still looms. The dreadnought waits above, ready to destroy them. If the Nautilus moves, they'll be spotted instantly. Luckily, Nemo devises a plan. Though their torpedoes aren't armed with explosives, they can still be launched. He places a sound device inside to create a diversion. When the torpedo launches, the dreadnought's sonar operator detects the noise and rejoices. Nemo's plan works perfectly. The steel warship is lured away, leaving the Nautilus safe once more. Afterward, they plan to go ashore for supplies, but suddenly, the dog bites at Lucas's dress, as if trying to warn her of something urgent. It turns out one of the sailors was being held at gunpoint by a soldier. Lucas calmly promises to ensure his safety and persuades him to drop the weapon. The soldier's story is rather pitiful. During Nemo's prison break, he was knocked unconscious and locked in a storeroom, then forgotten. He never wanted to be a soldier. He dreamed of being a seafaring adventurer. Nemo doesn't trust him easily, but agrees with Lucas not to take his life. He'll release the man at the next port. However, restocking supplies becomes a serious problem. At that time, the British Empire was the empire on which the sun never sets, and the East India Company hunted them wherever they went. Nemo points to an island on the map, Indonesia, which in the 19th century was still under Dutch colonial rule. Since the Dutch and the British were rivals, they might be able to buy some supplies there, but the Nautilus was too large to go unnoticed. As soon as they landed, the local soldiers spotted them. The local ruler introduces himself as Casimir. He shows no hostility. After all, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But upon seeing the goods Nemo offers, Casimir nearly bursts out laughing. To him, they're worthless junk. Still, recognizing Nemo as the Indian prince and remembering his friendship with Nemo's late father, Casimir agrees to provide supplies for free. He just needs a little time. Casimir invites them to rest at his palace. Lucas quickly reveals her noble lineage, while Nemo, curious about his father, accepts the invitation. They head to the palace, leaving a few men to guard the Nautilus and handle supplies. The East India soldier, meanwhile, is locked in a cell. After days at sea, everyone welcomes the chance to rest, unaware it's a trap. While exploring Casimir's library, Gustav stumbles upon an ancient book containing the name of a legendary place every sailor dreams of finding. Meanwhile, the supply crew notices something wrong. The food delivered by Casimir's men is spoiled. Clearly, he has no intention of being an ally. Sailor Kai immediately rushes toward the palace to warn the others. Inside the palace, Nemo finally learns the truth about his father. He was once the king of a small nation who partnered with capitalist traders to build a colonial company, but they betrayed him, framing Nemo and sending assassins to kill his father. In this age, the strong always prevail. After the king's death, his unclaimed fortune fell to the conspirators. Casimir claims he can help Nemo reclaim it. The two men seem to get along remarkably well. Learning that Lucas understands mechanics, Casimir grows excited. His ice-making machine is broken and no one can fix it. While Lucas is escorted to the workshop, Nemo, still troubled by his father's story, quietly returns to Casimir's study to take a keepsake photo. There, he hears the telegraph clicking non-stop. He discovers that Casimir is sending messages to the East India Company. When caught, Casimir looks embarrassed but shrugs. In the face of profit, friendship means nothing. The British Empire offers too much to refuse, he admits coldly. Nemo is captured and thrown into the dungeon. Meanwhile, his crew feasts inside the palace. They've heard rumors of cannibals in these lands, and the soldiers' menacing stares make even the sweetest pastries hard to swallow. What they don't realize is that the soldiers are simply hungry. They've served Casimir for years without ever tasting such luxury. By now, Kai has reached the palace and plans to warn the crew, but upon seeing all the food inside, he starts thinking of a way to sneak some back to the Nautilus. Meanwhile, as Lucas finishes repairing the machine, she hears strange murmurs beneath the floor. Following the sound, she discovers a group of laborers shoveling coal, powering steam engines that generate electricity. Shocked by their condition, Lucas releases them. As the captives emerge, the musicians and onlookers freeze in disbelief. They are the parents of those very children, sold into servitude by Casimir, stripped of all human rights. One little girl sees her father. Though he gestures for her to stay quiet, she can't hold back. Casimir storms in. Moments ago, he had berated Nemo and freed the East India Company's soldier. Now, seeing a group of slaves before him, his rage boils over. As he prepares to lash out, Lucas steps in to stop him, but Casimir drops all pretense, walking up to the little girl and sprinkling dirt onto her piece of cake, declaring that slaves don't deserve such food. The soldiers watching are enraged. They step forward to take the blame for their children, but Casimir doesn't see them as human. He orders the execution of the kids on the spot. The crew can no longer stand by. Jagadish rises, urging everyone to fight back. Humiliated and furious, the soldiers grip their weapons, but Casimir doesn't believe they have the courage to shoot. Shoot, then, cowards. Jagadish freezes. Now he understands why they became slaves. Once Casimir leaves, he orders his men to open fire and crush the uprising. As gunfire erupts, Gustav hears the shots echoing through the palace, tears up the map of Atlantis, and rushes back to the Nautilus. Lucas heads to the study to find Nemo and unexpectedly runs into the same soldier. He's stolen the prison key and tells her to free Nemo while he covers her escape. Even in the middle of danger, Nemo and Lucas still argue until Nemo grabs her hairpin to pick the lock, leaving Lucas speechless as she finally unlocks it herself. Meanwhile, under Jagadish's lead, the rebels gain the upper hand. They charge toward Casimir's palace, shouting for freedom. When Jagadish bursts into the study, he finds the soldier tampering with the telegraph. The man claims he's cutting off Casimir's communication with the East India Company and then stabs the machine with a knife. Jagadish, quick-witted, notices something strange. The transmission was sent before the machine was destroyed. The soldier is pretending to betray Casimir just to infiltrate the Nautilus as a spy for the dreadnought plotting against Nemo. Exposed, the soldier shoots Jagadish dead. At the same time, Casimir learns that Lucas has repaired the ice machine. As the rebels storm the palace, he flees into a secret chamber, dragging the dying Jagadish with him. Nemo gathers his crew at the docks, while Kai rushes over with the supplies. In the chaos, a wheel breaks and the food spills across the road. At the same moment, Nemo spots the dreadnought approaching. The soldier arrives, claiming Jagadish has been captured. Since he once helped them, Nemo allows him aboard. Though the crew protests leaving Jagadish behind, Nemo must make the hard call, the call of a captain. Some soldiers shove a boy into the lake and start beating drums. Suddenly, a monstrous creature rises from the depths. No one can tell what it is, only that it's carnivorous. Nemo and Lucas freeze, but their crew arrives just in time, hurling homemade grenades to cover them. The blast enrages the beast, sending it charging across the ground like a storm. Luckily, its massive size slows it down just enough for them to escape. The soldiers aren't so fortunate and become its next meal. Nemo doesn't waste time explaining and orders everyone back to the Nautilus. Gasping, Lucas warns that something, a fish, is chasing them. Moments later, the enormous creature bursts through the trees and onto the shore. "That's a fish?" Panic erupts as they sprint back to the ship. The creature doesn't notice the Nautilus at first, but when the engines hum to life, an electrical pulse surges through the water, catching its attention. The beast has the upper hand underwater. Before the Nautilus can move, it wraps its coils tightly around the hull. The ship tilts violently, throwing everyone off balance, and the nightmare is only beginning. As the vessel sinks, the creature's body glows. It's an enormous electric eel. Its surging current doesn't harm the crew but sends sparks flying across the ship's controls. Nemo orders the engines shut down to prevent further damage, yet, in this epic 20,000 leagues under the sea journey, the electric eel isn't the most terrifying threat. Soon after, while the Nautilus is restocking, the East India Company's warship dreadnought ambushes them. Soldiers drop depth charges into the sea. A thunderous blast follows as one skims the submarine's hull and detonates. Gustav quickly realizes the enemy's plan. They don't want to destroy the Nautilus, only to intimidate the crew into surrender. Hearing this, Nemo devises a plan and decides to do something Indians are particularly fond of: provoke the enemy. Nemo surfaces and begins taunting them. The soldiers open fire, but he dives under, swimming straight toward their gunners. Thinking he's lost his mind, they shift their aim. Meanwhile, the Nautilus powers up. Its propellers whip up the seabed sand, clouding their view. Amid the chaos, Nemo suddenly appears right in front of Dreadnought's viewing window, pulling an axe from his back and slamming it down. The Nautilus's glass is reinforced, Dreadnought's isn't. As the glass shatters, the water pressure blasts Nemo away. Thankfully, a diver manages to pull him back aboard. The plan works. They escape the Dreadnought's targeting systems, but since they couldn't retrieve supplies, they still face a food shortage. Still, the crew now sees the Nautilus as their second home. Some start growing vegetables, others fish in the ocean. It's not much, but it's enough to survive. The submarine sails through the Strait of Malacca into the Pacific Ocean, beginning a new adventure. Food can be caught, but fresh water becomes the real problem. That day, Nemo and his crew land on an island in search of fresh water. The first thing they see are dragon fruit trees heavy with fruit. Nemo tells Suyin to gather some while he and 3 others look for a stream. None of them notice that their dog has inhaled some strange pollen, a problem for later. Setting foot on the mysterious island, Blaster is thrilled, not wanting to be the third wheel between Nemo and Lucas. He wanders into the forest and spots a crab disguised as a rock. Thinking it might be edible, he follows it, unaware that the island bears signs of human habitation. The crab leads him straight to its giant mother. Realizing his mistake, Blaster freezes, but the massive creature merely warns him off. Just as he relaxes, he looks up and sees skulls hanging all around. Nemo calms him, saying the place isn't safe. As they turn to leave, they trigger a trap. Luckily, it's so old and rusted that it only half springs, but a loud alarm bell rings out. Nearby, in a military outpost, soldiers are drawing lots. Desperate and starving, they've agreed that if they find no food or water, they'll sacrifice one man to feed the sea monster. One unlucky soldier draws the shortest straw. Just as they prepare to shoot him, the alarm bell rings. Intruders. The bell means intruders, or prey. As the soldiers march toward the trap, Nemo and Lucas still can't find a way out. Nemo reaches for his knife, but Lucas stops him with a glare. You do know there are places on a woman you shouldn't touch, right? Just then, a shadow appears ahead. As the soldiers rush closer, a stranger steps forward, introducing herself before leading Nemo and the others to her hideout. She climbs with ease. Clearly she's lived on this island for years. They crawl into a foul-smelling cave, only to realize it's actually the hollow trunk of a giant tree. Soldiers pursue them from below. Nemo holds his breath as a venomous spider crawls up his arm. Lucas, unfazed, picks it up, teases him with it, then tosses it down toward the soldiers. Eventually, they reach the woman's hideout. She grows vegetables and builds her own water filters. The Nautilus could use someone this resourceful. They agree to return to the ship together, but Blaster, ever curious, wanders deeper into the cave and gets terrified by a snake. There, he stumbles upon the pursuing soldiers. Thinking fast, Blaster lies, saying the Nautilus has been sunk. Getting no useful intel, the commander decides to feed him to the sea monster. As they lower the raft, the beast awakens below. Nemo and Lucas arrive just in time. The soldiers freeze. It's been years since they've seen a woman, let alone one as striking as Lucas. While they're distracted, the island woman tosses a rope and pulls Blaster to safety. The sea monster rises, and the commander smugly tries to command it, only for the creature to turn and swallow him whole. When everyone returns to the Nautilus, the island woman stands in awe on deck, marveling at the underwater vessel. She's never seen anything this advanced, especially in such an era, but moments later, she loses her life. You've surely never seen an eel this adorable yet deadly. Its massive body coils tightly around the Nautilus. It may not be venomous, but it wields terrifying electric power. Nemo is forced to shut down the engines and find another way out. Lucas, whose father was a physicist, understands machinery and calculations well. After some quick reasoning, she comes up with a plan. We'll use the ship's engine to shock it. If the current's strong enough, at least 1,500 volts should fry it, or, to be precise, electrocute it. Theoretically, it could work, but one mistake and they'd all die from electrocution. Still, Nemo approves the plan, telling Lucas she can proceed as long as the engine survives. Nemo himself had considered going out in a diving suit to kill the eel, but its body pinned down the hatch. Now, all they can do is trust Lucas, unaware that another danger is already spreading aboard. Earlier, the dog had inhaled strange pollen from the island. When it shook itself, the spores scattered through the submarine, unnoticed as the crew focused on the eel. When the engines roared back to life, the current agitated the creature, and it began to discharge electricity in return. The voltage spikes to its limit, but the eel doesn't let go. Lucas trusts her math, until reality slaps her hard. Sparks erupt as the creature stays wrapped around the hull. Crew members collapse from electric shock. Despair fills the ship. Gustav blames Lucas for ruining the engine, arguing fiercely with Nemo, their trust still fragile. Lodi interrupts sharply, don't forget there's still a damn sea monster wrapped around us. Gustav storms off. Lucas, still smoking from the shock, promises Nemo she'll fix it, but the pollen spreads rapidly. Cuff loses control, smashing the pressure gauge. Gustav catches the soldier sneaking through his documents. The man's infected, unaware he's losing consciousness. Gustav ignores the commotion, more worried about his precious Atlantis map. Meanwhile, with Nemo's help, Lucas finishes the electric discharge system. Convinced her math is correct, she tries again, but the results are no different. Outside, the eel shifts. Nemo barely manages to tell Lucas to restart the engines, but Lucas can't accept failure, and Lodi, running out of patience, lashes out. This is your fault. You're arrogant, blind to your own mistakes. You'll never pull it off. As Lucas bows her head in frustration, Nemo rushes to the viewport. The eel has finally released them, but the water temperature rises fast. They're above an underwater volcano. Suyin tries to turn the ship, but it won't move. The hull is stuck. Nemo informs Lucas they need more power. She's still consumed by guilt. While in the torpedo bay, Blaster discovers crates of cotton soaked with nitroglycerin. If the temperature keeps rising, the Nautilus will explode. The only option is to move them to the cooling chamber, but Blaster can't do it alone, so Kai goes to help. Meanwhile, Nemo dons his diving suit to remove the trapped fin, unaware he's also infected by the pollen. On the way, he hallucinates, seeing his late wife's silhouette. In his vision, he returns home, where his daughter hands him a gift, the inspiration behind the name Nautilus. If Nemo hadn't been born a prince, if the East India Company hadn't destroyed his family, perhaps things would have been different. Nemo collapses into a chair, unconscious. The crew sinks into despair as the Nautilus hurtles toward the volcano. Fortunately, Kai and Blaster manage to move the explosives into the cooling bay just in time. Blaster notices a dark spot on Kai's hand, but Kai dismisses it as dirt until Blaster collapses unconscious. Only then does Kai realize the infection has spread through the ship. The immediate priority: deal with the explosives before everything goes up in flames. After Kai moves all the explosive crates into the cooling chamber, he notices the infection marks on his hand vanish. The cold is the cure. He rushes to get the crew into the chamber for detox, but the Nautilus is now on a collision course with an underwater volcano. Who will save them all? Lucas regains her focus and notices an eerie silence aboard. Searching the ship, she realizes everyone has passed out. Outside the dive chamber, she meets Kai. They've learned that once the black veins reach the eyes, a person loses consciousness, but cooling the body can stop it. Lucas decides to suit up and remove the eel scale herself while Kai handles navigation. Thanks to previous training, she can gear up alone. Fighting her fear, she opens the flood valve. Red light glows beneath her feet. Terrified but determined, she dives into the depths. Clinging to the safety line, Lucas swims toward the Nautilus's bow. The black veins crawl across her face, heightening her adrenaline. Passing her unconscious crewmates, she's hit by a vivid hallucination. The day her father died, the pain resurfaces until his voice echoes in her mind. When you fall, get back up where you fell. Her father's words ignite her will. Wiping her tears, Lucas pushes on, enduring the heat and fear. But when she's 5 meters away, the line runs out. Without hesitation, she unclips herself, cutting off her only way back. Lucas grabs the scale just as the Nautilus teeters between life and death. Racing both time and her own hallucinations, she pulls it free. The submarine veers away from the erupting volcano, but inertia flings Lucas off. She claws at the slick hull, unable to find a hold. That girl, weighed down by her diving suit, risked everything to save them. She freed the scale but was swept away. As the temperature drops, the crew slowly regains consciousness. As the crew celebrates their narrow escape, Nemo realizes Lucas hasn't returned. He orders the ship to turn around. He refuses to lose another comrade. They find her at last, but when Nemo pulls her aboard, she's not breathing. Grief fills the ship, except for Gustav, who refuses to give up. He dismantles an electric rifle, rigging a makeshift defibrillator. Once isn't enough, so he shocks her again, and luckily for everyone, Lucas is the main character. Lucas gasps back to life, cheers her up through the submarine. Nemo smiles faintly. She's officially part of the Nautilus family. Once recovered, Lucas recalls something strange. Just before blacking out, she saw an ancient structure beneath the sea. She assumes it was a hallucination, but Gustav listens intently. It might be the lost civilization he searched for all along, Atlantis. Nemo dismisses it as legend. Atlantis is supposed to be in the Atlantic, not the Pacific, but Gustav presents evidence, the map he took from Casimir's library. Nemo isn't interested. He wants treasure and revenge against the East India Company. To him, Atlantis is for scholars, not warriors. Yet seeing Lucas's curiosity and hearing Gustav's relentless enthusiasm, Nemo realizes his friend's thirst for discovery burns as fiercely as his own desire for revenge. At last, he agrees to explore Atlantis, fulfilling Gustav's dream. A 5-person exploration team is formed. The soldier tries to hunt fish, but Gustav stops him. This is an expedition, not a hunt. He hands out electric rifles. As the dive hatch opens, they officially begin their journey to Atlantis. Lucas was right. A strange, glowing light flickers from the abyss, reflecting off the stone walls, illuminating the beginning of a new world. This is the Atlantis Gustav has been searching for all his life. The path is built from massive hexagonal stone pillars, and Gustav even finds a staircase. But just as excitement fills the group, a massive shadow looms toward them. They follow the steps down into a vast chamber, tracing the current upward. There must be a cave above. Removing their heavy gear, they swim upward and soon break through to the surface. We're safe. Ancient relics. They ignite flares and begin exploring. Gustav discovers a plant species no one's ever seen before. But if this is a city, it seems far too small. Cuff stays behind to keep watch while the others move deeper in. Lucas spots fossils on the wall, sea centipedes, creatures that lived over 400 million years ago. As she excitedly explains, she notices the soldier standing apart, trembling uncontrollably. Lucas approaches and freezes. The sea centipedes are alive. When she tries to help, she finds him wrapped tight by writhing limbs. Her lamp shatters. She grabs a shard of glass, slicing the creature's grip, but her own suit tears in the process. Nemo rushes in. Under the flickering flares, hundreds of ancient creatures crawl across the walls. The crew prepares to retreat, but Gustav, thrilled to be here at last, presses forward, blind to the danger surrounding him. As the others withdraw, the creatures start advancing. They fear light, and the magnesium oxygen flares keep them at bay. Still, Nemo turns back. He won't leave Gustav behind. Before leaving, he tells Lucas, "If I don't return, you're the captain." Meanwhile, Gustav ventures deeper, discovering a metallic, shimmering stone. Before he can examine it, Nemo bursts in, dragging him away. They sprint toward the exit as their flares burn out. Darkness swallows the cavern, and the swarm attacks. 10 meters from safety, Gustav falls, crawling toward Nemo. Their hands almost touch before the creatures drag him away. Gustav meets Nemo's eyes, the same determined look he wore when they rebelled in prison. Nemo understands. He grips the stone tightly. Nemo's helmet cracks. The others are attacked by unknown sea creatures. Lucas's bleeding wound draws sharks, but the electric rifles finally work, blasting a path open. Nemo crawls out of the tunnel, gasping for air, before fainting. Cuff removes his own helmet, placing it on Nemo, and drags him back to the Nautilus. They survive, but Gustav is gone. Nemo clutches the stone tightly, the dream his friend left behind. While Lucas sorts through Gustav's belongings, Nemo discovers a recording, a private conversation between Gustav and Lucas. Gustav had known Nemo took the Nautilus for revenge, yet still supported him as captain, believing the ocean might heal his wounded heart. Gustav had found strange flora and swarms of ancient sea centipedes, creatures thought extinct for 400 million years. They hunted in coordinated packs. Gustav was dragged into the depths, and Nemo never imagined such horrors lay hidden here. But for explorers, danger is inevitable. Carrying the pain of loss, the Nautilus leaves Atlantis behind and sails north toward the Arctic. As Nemo and Lucas discuss the breathtaking landscape, a distant explosion echoes. The dreadnought has returned. Nemo orders full speed ahead. They dive beneath the ice to evade pursuit, then execute a daring maneuver, steering so the dreadnought crashes straight into a glacier. The dreadnought's captain takes the bait, commanding full pursuit, but Nemo miscalculates the dive depth. The Nautilus slams into the underside of the ice. The dreadnought fares even worse. Momentum drives it deep into the frozen expanse, wedged between massive ice walls. In this temperature, no one can last more than a minute underwater. They're completely trapped. The Nautilus runs into trouble. The collision has damaged vital components. They need a forge to repair them, and the dreadnought has one. With no choice, Nemo goes aboard to negotiate. Count Pitt assumes he's there to surrender and orders his men to fire, but Captain Youngblood stops them, choosing to hear him out. Nemo's request is simple: lend him the forge so he can repair his parts, and in return, he'll tow the dreadnought out of the ice. If Youngblood betrays him, Nemo's crew will detonate the explosives, taking everyone down together. Youngblood agrees on one condition: Lucas's fiancée is aboard the dreadnought, and he wants her to stay. Nemo refuses. Lucas isn't property, her choice is her own. After shaking hands, Nemo returns to the Nautilus, torn between pride and affection, with no right to stop her. To complete the deal, the ships are chained together. Dreadnought soldiers sneer, calling the other slaves. Tension builds, so Youngblood and Nemo agree to hold a friendly contest to ease things up. Meanwhile, Lucas faces her own problem. She's never even met her fiancé. The engagement was her mother's doing. Count Pitt lectures her about a woman's place at home, leaving hard work to servants. Lucas glares at him and walks away in silence. Unable to impress her, Pitt joins the match to vent his anger, only to lose miserably due to his arrogance. Meanwhile, Lucas finishes repairing the part and hands it to Nemo. Deep down, she's already decided she'll return to the Nautilus and continue the voyage. But Pitt refuses to let go. He's paid handsomely for the marriage and believes Lucas belongs to him. He orders his men to lock her in a cabin and forces her to dine with him in a wedding gown. But after witnessing the wonders beneath the sea, Lucas is no longer the pampered noble girl she once was. She wants her own life. Pitt's made sides with her, stabbing him in the leg. Together, they make their escape. Meanwhile, Nemo directs his crew to secure the chains but keeps glancing toward the dreadnought, waiting for Lucas. Surrounded by soldiers, Lucas uses her explorer's instincts, grabs a rope from the deck, and swings down onto the ice, sprinting toward the Nautilus. Since the truce is still active, the soldiers dare not shoot. They can only watch as Lucas escapes. "Glad you came back." "Me too." As the engines roar, the Nautilus strains forward, towing the dreadnought free from the ice. A thunderous crack. Success. But as soon as they're freed, Pitt orders the cannons to fire on the Nautilus. Youngblood stops him. "How dare you?" Pitt snarls. "Breaking a truce isn't the act of a gentleman," Youngblood snaps back. Pitt doesn't care, he wants revenge. Shoving the gunner aside, he fires the cannon himself. The fuse misfires, the shell merely dents the Nautilus. Furious, he tries again, but Youngblood draws his pistol on him. One wrong move and the truce will shatter. Nemo, unaware of the chaos above, assumes betrayal. Enraged, he storms the deck and breaks the chains. The battle erupts instantly. Amid gunfire, Nemo miraculously survives. After all, he's the protagonist. He returns to the control room, orders a dive, and makes a wild decision: they'll cross the Arctic beneath the ice. But if the oxygen runs out before they reach open water, they'll be entombed forever beneath the ice. And that's the complete story of Nautilus Season 1. What did you think of the series? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Drop your answers in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next recap.